Now, Sprague Doogie, I don't know if you know Sprague.
Yes.
Yeah, he said that they he would genuinely make sure that they're rehearsing so that they would be on the top. I mean, did you when because Guy used to put on a show to compete with New Edition, but do you remember any of the rehearsals and how the shows were?
Yeah, I mean, well, Teddy was uh he was really driven in excellence. Everything he did, he did it at a high level of excellence. So the rehearsals were always tight. Like we took everything very seriously. It was just a no nonsense environment. We came there to do the work, and if you were going to be a part, then you had to put in the work and do your part. So yeah, they definitely took the opportunities seriously. It wasn't a game.
Were you on the Superfest, the any New Edition guy? Did you go on that tour?
No, I left at that point because I started doing more work, more
Okay.
production. So I started on the earlier parts of the tours, and then I kind of went out to make records.
Do you think if Teddy wasn't a member of Guy, that he would have been an even greater producer, just been and have a bigger body of work if he hadn't had to go on tour and do all that stuff? Or do you think he didn't
No,
make much of a difference?
no, I think he did both, and he did it well. Like he was a Teddy was a producer, he was an artist, um, and he made everybody else wanna become that. Like because of the Teddies, there was Stanley Browns and Devontae Swings and so many others. We can
Ah,
go on. Eddie F, who you have to bring into the conversation. You know what I mean? Who was killing it in that era as well. So
yeah.
there was so many people, and it almost kind of felt like we all came from that same tree. You know what I
Mm.
mean? We were just leaves or branches on a deeply rooted tree of New Jack Swing, and it worked for everybody. Everybody was able to have their own identity, but that we came from that tree, from that cloth.
So when did you just Moon Harem gave you your first A&R gig? Were you still did you think why did you decide to take that and not continue just being in the studio?
Well, I did continue to be in
Okay.
the studio, so I was an A&R slash producer guy, because at that time, Hiram signed Dru Hill.
Oh, so you know Woody. Okay.
Yeah, I know Woody well, and I produced Tell Me.
You're kidding me. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute now. Okay, now, okay. So Woody's almost like could we do a different podcast together? And so this is yes, Hiram Hicks who um Dave Hollister was supposed to sing it, right?
Dave Hollister was supposed to sing it first.
Oh yeah. So Woody
And
was
Dave
telling me that.
Hollister and Dave Hollister did an amazing job. Like he bodied that song, right? But the only what happened was Dru Hill was a potential signing for Island Records. And there was a soundtrack, Eddie, was the movie called Eddie, which Whoopi Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
Starred in Eddie, the basketball movie. And they needed a song. They wanted to place the song in the soundtrack. And Dru Hill, this was a great way to launch the
Ah.
group. So they gave the song to Dru Hill. But Dave had already recorded the song. It was mixed and mastered. And he
Wow.
did. And like you wouldn't have been mad at his version because it would have been a hit. It would have probably had the same results. But that's what happened, and that's why the switch happened because they wanted to sign Dave, but I don't think they were able to come to terms. So they went another way. So that's what happened.
Yeah, so Woody said that when they were singing their demo in the studio, the Harem that was singing Tell Me, and then he was almost looking at them and thinking, Oh, tell me. And then that night he had them go record it. Were you in the studio with them?
I was in the studio. We were actually mastering Dave's version. We were actually at a mastering session when we got the phone call that the group was in town and they wanted to meet with Hiram. And the group came over to the studio. This is a true story. The group came over to the studio. We saw the group perform, and Hiram was like, yo, you got to take this group in the studio and record the song. And that's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you make of them? Did you think they're like a version of Jodeci, or what was your thought about the four of them when you first saw them?
To be considered or compared to Jodeci in that era is the most incredible compliment, because Jodeci were killing it. Like Andre Harrell and all those guys over at Uptown, they were killing it. Jodeci became the sound. Like, it was the new blueprint. So you had a group who could sound that way. But Dru Hill had their own thing too. You know what I'm saying? But it was almost, the sound was identifiable and familiar. And Cisco was Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Cisco just had a thing, and then you had Jazz, who was a quiet storm, and Woody, you know what I'm saying? But then you had Nokia, who was a silent killer, who I don't think ever got enough props when it comes to his ability to produce and write, because Nokia was brilliant as well. So they had everything. They had it. And they proved it later on, because it just kept moving and and it blew up. But when they walked in that building, you knew immediately that they were next.
When the song blows up, what's your how do you take it compared to I'm Dreamin'? I guess it's not that nothing can replicate the first success, but what was that like when that? Tell me.
Man, I was happy, I was really happy, but to be honest, I was really happy for the guys, to see guys come out of Baltimore, Maryland, and, with hopes and dreams of becoming something in this industry. And, I remember when we were recording the song, I think at Unique Studios or Quad Studios at the time, we would take breaks and go to McDonald's and have to wait online in Times Square, and we wait a half hour to get a cheeseburger. That record came out, and we went back to that same McDonald's a month later. Man, it was crazy. Oh, they were superstars.
Wow. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the Halftime Chat community. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, why don't you consider being a member? That's a way of supporting the channel, but also getting a lot of videos ahead of time, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and some exclusive content that doesn't get shared. But anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of Halftime Chat.